don't care.
Oi. Let me cheat my dishes.
Not like completely, but.
I can also send you
I was already thinking, you know,
less code.
Like why?
Is it like, are you half Italian or fully Italian?
No, my grandma's from Rome. She's like,
Oh.
but they never taught me the language. I don't speak Italian.
No.
They were lazy.
You know, you see, she's.
I can teach
She's
you.
like,
You speak more Italian than me.
Yeah. Sì, sì.
Speak the most important words.
Yeah. Bene, bellissimo.
Molto bene.
Molto bene.
Inside
Grazie.
components.
All right, so we'll be starting the workshop.
Now?
Starting the workshop.
Something next to the pizza.
Yeah, I think you can grab it already. Yeah. Eat the pizza. Are you alive, Yvette?
Let me grab my water.
Yes. Water hydration.
This time, guys, please don't be afraid to eat. Food is there to be eaten. Not
Yeah.
to look at it.
There's watermelon. Just put it on the pizza.
Only one
Appetizer.
What's your opinion on watermelon on pizza?
There's fruit here.
You should.
It's literally the worst thing you can do.
What fruits do we have? Like melon, pineapple. Pineapple.
Gross.
It's here for a reason. Try that?
No. My hair contest in the craziest pizza. They do like yeah.
Oh no.
Have you ever seen those challenges on YouTube?
Yes,
Yeah.
they put random shit.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly the thing, you know. That's exactly the thing. All right. There are some people online now. I thought someone joined.
Salami.
You're gonna commit great sins.
You're actually gonna do that. I'm curious. Hey guys, no judgment here.
What is this?
It's awesome.
Tell me you're not putting pineapple on top.
I'm not saying
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's the table.
Okay. So welcome everybody. Hope you will enjoy those pizzas. So here's the link to our workshop today on the Figma workshop events in the new designers. But also you can find this file in the intro to Figma project in new designers. So you can find your way there. Yeah, and then we can start. So yeah.
Did somebody join online?
I think I've seen a few people trying to join and then they didn't. I don't know. Wait. Where is my arc? It escaped me. Yes, I see like Max joining in.
I was just looking for the link.
Oh yeah. Okay. I see one person, Joey. Nice. Someone got their way in here. Nice. All right.
Manu is actually online, so you can let her in.
Yeah, but I don't know how actually, because it shows me like I am invited to join their call, and that's strange. Quest to join, I don't know. I'm not a Teams master here.
On Figma or?
Yeah. I don't know. I think people can join. They should.
Why they're so huge?
Okay. We got 9. I think we got all in the file. And if the online doesn't work, it's gonna be recorded anyway. Okay. So let's start. So Figma 101 components, the second one in a very limited series. And today we're gonna talk not only about components, but the things that make them work in the best way. And it's gonna be more interactive than the last one. So we're gonna learn and work at the same time. So first we're gonna start with auto layout. So what actually makes our designs more flexible for developers as well, for us to change, move around. And then properties, which is a bit magic because not all of us actually heard about it, or they did, but they don't know much about it. I didn't know about that much either, but now I know since a few months. So it's very hidden, but it's really nice. So let's start with auto layout. So you all might know the auto layout, this magic that just binds together everything in our files. And it's very useful because we can specify the margins and the paddings, and it just works. It's responsive. That's why we also do it. It's responsive. And we can make the auto layout. So we make the auto layouts with Shift+A. So we can experiment that in a minute. And the objects then stay in order. So it's for organization. And we can see it here. So this is part, maybe I should explain once again, we forgot about that. So here's my part of the presentation. Here I'm gonna talk you guys through, and the blue files are the work files that we can work together. And the yellow ones are more for looking and I talk. And then beneath you have all those boards where you have the same blue files, but you can just be here, so you don't have to be on top with me. You can just be here and follow one by one how I go through them. And here's the exercise board, so everybody can put their name, so you know which one is yours. And here is like the final thing that we're gonna design based on what we've learned today. So the dashboard and the cards for the dashboard and the menu using variants and properties, and of course auto layout. So, and that's the thing, and here will be the rules, but the rules will be more what we're gonna get here. So I think I forgot to mention that. So now you know, you follow first throughout the presentation here when there are practical exercises. So here's the first one, and you have each on your board this very one. So you can touch it there, not here, because I'm gonna touch here myself. So yes, so the auto layout, the easiest way to make buttons work. So you can use Shift-A and then make this button. Of course, we can make it together with this, and then boom, it's together. I'm gonna also say each and every shortcut I'm gonna use, because there are few that might be quite useful. And then we have the button that is responsive to what we type in, instead of using just frame that is not very responsive without auto layout. And then it can't scale when we input something, so it's just very static. So that's the auto layout button in a nutshell. And yeah, you have them there. So if you find them, yeah, you found them, so it's good. All right. So what are the ways we can do the auto layout? So the auto layout we can do a vertical, horizontal, obviously. And now the new thing in Figma is that you can adjust in between the items on the canvas, so you don't always have to type in the designer, which we're gonna arrive there. So that's nice. And there are auto layout children, so you can move around with arrows up and down the design elements. So as you know, this is quite responsive. So okay, let's jump back into the user interface because that's actually the most interesting. So those are the icons that represent what is it. So if we don't know, that means it's using auto layout, and this is the horizontal auto layout, the vertical, and the wrap, which is also the new thing. It's nice because it's actually a combination of both of these in one, so we don't have to apply one for the horizontal and the vertical. It's just all in one, so that's nice. But it's for certain use cases. And of course, our menu of the auto layout. So top left, top right, bottom middle. It's also useful. And how we fill. So it can be fixed, so the element just retains its width and height. Or it could be fill, so it fills how we expand. And we're gonna have the example. So here we can make a navbar. It can be navbar, of course, but we can just combine all of these. I'm holding now Shift and clicking all of these elements, and then boom, they are together. And then you see the pinkish thingy. So then you can change it here instead of typing like this. So it's more on the go. You can do that instead of going back and forth. And of course, you can change the auto layout to be vertical. Of course, now it's quite blown out because it's outside of the card, but we can bring it back and change it. And of course, the wrap is that if the box is going shrinking, then it's wrapping in each other. That wouldn't be possible when we have either vertical or horizontal. It would stay as is. And in this case, it's creating sort of horizontal and vertical auto layouts for us. Great for cards, especially. And the next one will be of course, spacing and padding. So we discussed that the direction of the auto layout. So if we specify the top left, the top right, and the bottom. So we talked about that. And wrapping. And of course, you can all read it more fully afterwards if you have questions. And you can have negative spacing, which is sometimes useful, especially for avatar cards. If you want to overlay on top of each other, then it's really nice way to have them touch each other, an overlay. And you can change the specific parts of the padding or margins so that it's more flexible. So of course you can adjust the direction as we talked, and then adjust just the bottom part, right? Or not. And we can make these as well auto layout, and then I didn't make it. So we select them and then Shift A, and then we have auto layout, and we can make this, for example, the negative, and then they're gonna overlap each other. I mean, in this case, it's not useful, but in certain use cases, this is. So you can adjust direction in this exercise. And the other is the wrapping. So we have pills that have already auto layout aligned, and then we can just put that in. So it's nice, for example, also for pills, when we have selection of the genres of music or whatever that is. And adjust spacing and padding on the canvas. So we know that, so maybe let's skip over that. And let's jump into the fill, because that's actually nice. So the fill is that it fills. So it's really nice, like it fills the container as it stretches. In this case, it wouldn't do that because the square is no fill. As we can see it here in the group. Yeah, the group is fixed. You can see it here. But when we're gonna fill it, then it fills. And then it's useful, especially for responsive interfaces. There's also option Hague, but not always. It's usually in the bigger elements that are like parent element. So those inside of element are children, and then we have Hague. So it's going to Hague the default size of the element. So it's quite small in this case because its default size is is defined. So that's nice when we want to have the card that just holds together when the content is in it. So that's a nice place to experiment with that. There's a lot we can do with it. Definitely nice thing that not all of us will know, and is super useful, is the absolute positioning, because what it does, sometimes we don't have nice layout, like a grid layout that everything falls into. But how do we put the notification icon? For example, this is like the topmost problem. Or how do we overlay illustration? This is hard, but then we have the absolute positioning button here, which I'm gonna show in a minute how it works, but it has the icon little circle in the brackets, and also you can connect it with the constraints to the different corners, so it will resize. Okay, let's jump into the real example. So here we have the typical could be app icon of the email, and then we have the notification, and then we have here in the top right corner absolute position. Then we click it, and then it disconnects from auto layout, so it's not trying to, it's not even taken into account, and it's living on its own inside of the auto layout. And then we can move it, of course, quite carefully, so it doesn't jump out of the auto layout, because if it does, then it's not working as it should be. And then it's here with auto layout, and if we gonna connect it with constraints, so right there to the top and right corner, and we're gonna stretch the auto layout, not the icon, then it's gonna go with it. Of course, the icon is not going with the auto layout, but that's not a problem because we can fill it, but then it's gonna be big. But if you wanna have responsive like a button with the notification, then it should connect. And now it stopped connecting to the icon. So that's one use case we can have this. And the other is, yeah, it's basically also adjust placement of absolute items. Yeah, so we can set the X and Y values. So it's basically the same as we would move it. It's just that we can type in like it's 40X, and yeah, so that's what we try to explain here. And that's the auto layout. It's something that probably all of you knew already, but it's nice to just have this whenever you like forgot something. There's way more, so that's why there's a link for documentation, because it's quite obnoxious how much. Oh, and I forgot about the positioning. It's also nice to see it in code. So for developers, you can see the absolute in the code when it's put. And also that's the overall theme today, that it's the way we're gonna structure components also helps developers. And now let's go to the meat. So the properties. What are the properties of component when we make the component? So components have Boolean properties. So developers very much know what those are, the false and true statements. And the text properties, so it could be the property that you can put in text. So you specify that this is just text. And in settings here, you can put any text in there. It's additional step. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. But what matters is the swap instance. When we have button and we have a collection of icons, we want to use specifically for this button, specifically for this use case, we can just select them from dropdown. So if we have here the applied instances, so they're going to show more or less like that. But because this is the home component, it's not going to show us like how it looks when we want to switch it. But when you're going to duplicate it, now we see why it's nice. It's nice because we have swap instance. So when we click the instance, we can swap it to other icons. In this case, we have none, but we can swap it if we have the collection. And the true or false statement, this toggle will show if we'll not remove the icon or have it back. And that's nice for prototyping. It's nice for organizing your work. So it is quite easy how to do. I'm going to now show you how to do it. And of course, it reduces the amount of variance. So you don't have, because usually we do variants, right? We do one with icon, one without the icon, and then we have states, and then max dancing there. And also, it helps with better code alignment. So it's easier, for example, to see the code like, then the Figma translates the code like you have icon before, so we specify the icon property as bell, and then it all spits out, okay, so this is the icon before, then this is the icon after. And it all connects with the code, so it's also nice from that standpoint for developers to know like, oh, so this is how it works. And this is what it is, and this is what it's not. So variants are still great. And we're gonna also talk about variants, but you more or less know variants already, that you can change size, styling, you can make them interactive, so they can have different states. But they can't have logic. That's the big thing. They don't have logic. Our booleans can have logic. They can turn off stuff, show stuff, change their instances, that too. So we can connect components with the other components. And this is something nice. Interconnectivity. Here's the small tidbit before we jump, that you can batch select text, or in this case. So yeah, whenever you struggle with selecting your text in various components, you can just click one, and then you have this tiny, like in shooting games, you have this. So basically, you just aim at the text, and boom, you have everything selected. But coming back to the properties, here you have, for example, the message list, and you have a lot of booleans here. You can show the status if it's online or not, or one that it's offline or not. And the names, so you can change here text instead of in the system. So you can say John Stevenson, and then it's John Stevenson. And you don't have to click this in particular to change text. And that comes in handy. And especially the timestamp. So you can have a lot of small fragments. And you can also change the variant of it, so the state. Okay. And yeah, and more resources we can find here about the properties and our variants. And we're literally already at the last part before we get to designing. So variants, of course, we know variants. We can make individual components and then make variants out of them. But just a small side note, if they follow naming rule, it would be nice also to note that the naming rules help developers too. So you say like button default. So always add slash, so then Figma adds its magic that it knows that this is subdivision of this component. Even if it's its own component, it will know that, oh, okay, so this is going to be probably part of something bigger. So then if you combine them, then just organize it like, okay, this is button default hover focus, and then it's going to be, and then you add another slash, and this is subsection of this component. So, but we're going to get to the naming too. Naming is also very important, actually sometimes more than the files itself. So here you have the example of the code. You have primary button that is large, that is without icon, in its default state. Of course, you don't want to name everyone like that, but if you have collection, you have design system, then you have primary buttons that could be large, medium, small, could be without icon and with icon, could be default in the other state. So for coding those, it helps. And definitely the dev mode also shows that. So yeah, we have, of course, the tab bars, so we can combine these as variants. So if we have those that have the same naming convention, you have already prompted button combine as variants. If you, of course, follow the rules, then you have tab bar slash left, middle, right, or whatever you want to name it, then it will know it's the same thing. And then you have them here as states. By default, it's property one, but you can rename it to states, so you know it's okay. So it's states. It's not some random crap. And then yeah, of course, you can put this one here, and yeah, play around with it, and then combine those. But okay, maybe actually skip that, and we're gonna just go straight into the thing. yeah, let's just do that. So here we have the assignment. So let's do that. And what I want you guys to do, I want you guys to design a card first for the dashboard. And you always design cards. So it should be quite easy. Here you have the components on each board. You will have these, and they are of course randomly scattered around, so you don't get the idea how it looked before. And yeah, and then you make a card. You have 8 minutes. We're gonna make the card, and I'm gonna make the cards too. And you can make it based on what you've seen here, or also by exploring the examples like here. So you can also follow along. So it's more practical, so you can do it with me. So you're gonna understand. So I'm gonna be actually doing it and showing to you, but you can just jump forward and do it yourself. But we're gonna do it together, how it works. And then we're gonna jump over to the menu. So yeah, so we're gonna do that. And I'm gonna still put the timer, but I'm gonna copy this board over and I'm gonna put it here. So this is gonna be my workspace. You can take your workspaces too. And yeah, so I'm gonna set timer and also explain you guys how it works. So it could be 15 minutes. So yeah, so first we have the components, right? So we learned that we can make the auto layout. So of course we can make a few auto layouts for various parts and yeah, and make our card responsive. So let's do that first. And if you have guys any questions, how it works, just let me know. So yeah, so if you have first basis of the card, the layout, but it's auto layout, right? So we want to make this actually with something in it and the padding around it so it doesn't feel squished. Then we can make it rounded and add the color. For example, it could be something like that. And we can, of course, make it more responsive, so we can fill the container with our one auto layout that we have here at the bottom. And if we double click here, then it's gonna fill the things to the sides. By that, whenever you're gonna stretch, it moves with it. So what I did is I just double clicked here, because otherwise it's just in the middle. And that way it's just spread to the corners. And yeah, so we have the card, and then we can make the card actually the component, which we have here button to make components. So now it's a component. We can actually rename it to more something like sexy card example. And how we make those properties then? Well, we have here this funky little button. When we are in a component, it's create Boolean property. So then we can specify, okay, this is show badge tag true, could be false, but then whenever false, this is gonna be shown. We want it the other way around. We can also, for example, have a text property, which is create component property. So we have text, and then we can just change text from here. And you can just go always to my file and be like, just checking out like how the heck did I do it. So yeah. And then we have those two properties. We have already the text. So if we type something in, it's gonna change in our instance. And we can of course turn off our batch or on, just as we please. So yeah, so basically you can hide stuff and show with the components. And once again, I'm gonna repeat. Here you will have one button, well, looking more like this, right? So you're gonna have this apply Boolean property, and you're gonna have more than one property, but overall, yeah, you can apply it, and then it can be true, visible, not visible, and then yeah, you can change those states. It's nice in prototyping, of course, but it's nice to have responsive. But then you say, okay, but this is just turning off stuff in the text, but where's the instances? Okay, so we're gonna make the menu also, so I'm gonna make a menu now. So let's make the menu from what we've got here. It's some nice manner. And there's just no wrong or right way to do it. You can make as many auto layouts you like. Your design could look also differently. Some don't stress like, oh my God, I don't get it. It's for me, it was also confusing. The overall properties concept, like why is it useful? Promise me, it's amazing when we have icon collection. So here we made the menu component already, and we have our instance here, the house. And again, we have this funky arrow within the square button. And then we can create component property. So here we specify what icons do we want to include in our button or menu. And we can select ones that we have from a collection. And how the collection works. By the way, the collection is very huge, just right here. Yeah, exactly. Some people already are here exploring. And yeah, here are all the icons. But those icons are quite specific because all of them are on their own. So this is component. Each of them is just their own component. So they live on their own, but all of them have naming conventions, icons / whatever here. And then that's why the design and the instances know that they are connected, so we can choose them in our menu. So we can choose them here. So again, I'm gonna show it. Here we have the funny button. When we click on the component in our menu, and then we can add with this plus sign more components. Just like that. Because we don't want the whole 500 icons for a button that just does sign up. We can have ones with arrows. We can have ones with certain elements. So you can have with wallet maybe, that's arcade. And then when we're done adding, we can just create a property. And the property is created. The same we can do for our arrow. And create another property or use the same one. But then we may confuse those, so we can just make arrows. We didn't select those. But no worries, we can change it. Or we can change it. Okay, so let's go back. Yeah, so we can create the arrows. So go arrows, and then we can search for arrows because we have a lot. So here we have arrows. Yeah, there we go. We have the down, the up, left and right, and we don't need anything else. So we create a property. And now that we have this, we can make the instance. And now is the nice stuff. We can change it on the go. So from the ones that we selected, we can change and decide the icons, and the same is going to be here. Not from here. Yeah, from just when you click once the instance, it shows you the icons, and you can change right and left. But okay, this is just one without the variance. But we could add the variance. So here in properties of a component, we have this pattern variant overall of the component. So you can create a variant, Boolean, instance, swap text. And those are ones that we're already doing with the others on their own. But you can do it from here too. And also see the nested instances. When you click that, you can see, oh, those are the properties. So we can expose them or hide them to our liking. But coming back, we can create a variant. And then the variant is the property, but I want to change it to state. And then in the states, we have default state, of course, which is this. But we can make another one, which in this case could be hovered state. But now it's junky because it's all over the place. So we add auto layout, and it's gonna nicely organize itself. So yeah, let's change it so that it actually looks more like a hovered state and different state. So we can add again auto layout, and so maybe again nice blue color. We're gonna maybe add the same padding so it's consistent. Some roundness. Maybe the strokes so it's more usable. So a little bit. Oh, just like that. So yeah, so we have two instances. And now if we have this, we have state. Yeah, we have state, we have default and a hovered. And then we can make another one that's expanded with more things underneath. So again, we have another state created by just adding here a variant. Or if you already have a variant, you can just make one with the plus sign here, which is preferable way, just to click more and more and more. And then with combination of those two, you can have a nice menu that, yeah, that we can use for here. And actually, let me grab it from another file because I'm lazy. That was finished. So this now is also in the intro to the Figma. So yeah, so here it's more or less finished look on the menu. So I'm gonna paste it to you guys too. And yeah, so here we have more extensive menu with, of course, again, selected and menu expanded. So you can also do the Booleans based on that. And yeah, and structure this likewise. You see, it's quite extensive. So you can have selected, we can have expanded or not, you can show select or not. So you can, yeah, for whatever use case we have it, we can have Booleans. And this is nice, especially for bigger projects, but for organization, of course. And in the hindsight, it doesn't need to be that complicated. The gist of it is that we need to use the overall components and variants, and the properties are nice touch. So that's kind of it. And let me know what you think about that. If that was nice, if that was if you've learned something from this, or at least, yeah, just tell me.
Do you mean, sorry, just to be sure, do you mean afterwards in the form, or?
You can tell me, yes, in the form. So they're going to be the same form. You can vote for the next one. But yeah, we're done. So yeah, I hope it helped you. So yeah. But if you have any questions, please ask them. If this was a bit confusing or not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do another exercise or?
Well, that was kind of the gist of it, to show you that we can make that, you know. So yeah, so that was like the final exercise. So yeah, Mila, you can tell like what you got, what you didn't get.
Oh no, I was just curious if we're gonna do something else here.
No, this is overall it.
Okay. I think we can also all look through the slides. You added them right to the
Yeah.
to the events tab.
Yeah, so they are in the same file, of course. Just to say, if this is confusing, if that was like you were like, what the hell did we do today, and like, how does it change my life? Well, the thing is, those properties are nice, but will we use them all the time? No, probably not. But it's nice to know that we can use something like that we can just put it in our workflow when we need it. But the overall thing today was to just get you started, like, oh, this is something that exists, but it needs practice. It needs more actual use cases. So if you're feeling confused, just read them through. There are resources. It's not a bad thing if it was confusing. It's hard to teach this in just that amount of time, especially that some of the things change all the time. Right? So the tools change. It's more for bigger design systems. But what you should have take away that you can make false and true statements. You can have a nice toggle off buttons, and overall knowledge about how to make components work with variants, auto layout. So that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Also have the form attached to both for the.
Yeah. So I'm gonna paste the link to the form in this recording, so I can paste it there. I'm gonna also paste it in the file we worked. So I'm like yes, it's huge link in the file as well. So I'm gonna. Yeah. So there you can choose another one. It could be about dev or something else too. It's in the Figma. it's yeah, it's here. Yeah. And Spotlight Max or me in the file. So. And yeah, you can mention there the format you would prefer more. If you like the last one more, this one more, what kind of examples you'd prefer more or less. It all helps because such topics and components are broad topics to digest it in just one workshop.
Does anyone eventually learn that or not?
No, not that I'm aware.